Thank you, Senator Cornyn. Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you for your testimony. And I hadn't planned to pursue this line of questioning, but just following up on what Senator Corden said, Dr. Doshi, one of the issues, of course, is making sure that we protect the high-end chips fabrication capability in Taiwan. But as you pointed out, that's part of a strategy to make sure that the United States and our AI tech remains at the cutting edge. And the other half of that coin is trying to make sure that we do what we can to make sure that China can't sort of out-compete us in this area. So we, of course, have the entities list that prohibits the transfer of very high-end chips to certain Chinese companies. But as you know, there are ways to get around that, including by shipping high-end chips to subsidiaries, right? Is that, you agree with the premise?
That's absolutely right, Senator.
And that loophole has not been closed, has it?
No, Senator, it has not.
And wasn't this a subject of conversation between, President Trump and President Xi in South Korea?
Yes, Senator. Initially, we closed the loophole, then we essentially reopened it.
Yeah, I think it's very problematic that we were on the way to closing that loophole, and now we've reopened it, essentially giving China a new benefit that we had planned to take away. Isn't that right?
That'd be fair, Senator.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Glazer, let me thank you for all your work. And I had a question related to something you've written a lot about, which is the interpretation of UN General Assembly Resolution 2758 and how China has tried to misinterpret that to exclude Taiwan from many important international organizations. That's why, together with some of my colleagues here, Senator Curtis, I've introduced a bipartisan resolution that passed this committee. The full bill has passed the whole House. The final bill is pending, a vote on the Senate floor. Could you just talk briefly about why it's important that we make clear that Taiwan has an important role to play in these international organizations, that it serves our strategic interests, but also our practical benefits, and how China has twisted the meaning of that resolution to try to deny Taiwan's participation?
Well, thank you as well, Senator, for your work on this issue. I think it's extremely important. It is not receiving enough attention in the UN. There's obviously a lot of priorities that the United States has in the UN. And so this doesn't come up much, although it did come up earlier this year in the UN Security Council when one of our representatives raised the issue. China is pushing on an open door. It is telling the world that the one China principle should be embraced by everybody in the world, and that the UN has already decided that Taiwan is part of China. And of course, we have all read this resolution from 1971. It is 3 paragraphs. It talks about expelling the Chiang Kai-shek forces. So Republic of China isn't mentioned, but we all know that's Taiwan. And the interpretation of China is, of course, legally unsound, but it has written reams of reports telling the world that because of the fact that this resolution was passed, that Taiwan can never participate in the United Nations. And there are so many things we all know that Taiwan brings to the international community. Its wealth of experience in public health, to cite one example, and of course in technology. Taiwan is just a terrific partner that we work with around the world in international development in places like the Pacific and in Latin America, where Taiwan still has a small number of diplomatic allies. But in the United Nations, their citizens can't even walk through the door. High school students to even participate in a tour of the United Nations. I mean, the Chinese just have reacted to this so strongly, and there has been so little pushback. So I did include in my work that I've done on this issue things that the United States could do. And I do think that we should clarify our One China policy is very different from their One China principle. And we should have the State Department write a report that calls out the flaws in the legal arguments, because we have a terrific legal team at the State Department. They've written some really excellent reports on the South China Sea. We have never seen a report on this issue, and I would strongly recommend it.
Well, thank you for that, and I hope that the Senate, and I know the chairman and the ranking member would like to see this bill pass the Senate. I'd like to see it happen as soon as possible, along, by the way, with the double taxation treaty legislation that passed the House and is still stuck in the Senate. But let me thank all of you for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an interesting comment you made about how important Taiwan is in the world for its size compared to China, and the spectacular things that they can do, even though they have a small population. One thing we don't talk about is it underscores, again, the difference between communism and a capitalist system. The capitalist system is magic when it comes to being able to perform for human beings, whereas the communist system does nothing but tamp down the performance of human nature, which is incredibly incredibly unfortunate.